right, welcome everybody to Minding My Business. I hope you're having a blessed up Wednesday. And if you're not, we're about to bless you up here on Minding My Business. This is a show dedicated to celebrate women who have created a lane for themselves and are doing extraordinary things in the world. So today I have a powerhouse guest, Danielle Kincaid. She is an owner of Face Studio for the last about 9 years, which is cosmetic tattooing, and has a training academy. And it's an award-winning studio. She's a master artist educator and has received just a bunch of rewards and awards. So
Yes,
thank you for
all of
being
it.
thank you for being on this show. It's an honor to have you.
Dude, thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. What got you into, so you could have chosen any career path to go down. And
Mhm.
when I met you in person, because we actually ended up meeting at a mastermind event,
Mhm.
and like you could have chosen any single career. You chose this career. What was it that
Yeah.
inspired you to get into this? Because I could tell when I met you, like you're so passionate about what you do.
Oh, thank you so much. I love it more than anything, and it hasn't dulled down for me. But um, I will say it was kind of like everything just fell into place for me. I didn't really have a goal set out to find this career. I was doing makeup for a long time, and eyebrows were my passion when it came to makeup. I was really, really good at eyebrows for some strange reason. And then when microblading first came out, I was like, oh, this is interesting. It's like my tattoo world meets my professional world, and it's kind of combined. So I was intrigued right off the bat. So I went up to my friend who owns a tattoo shop, and I was like, hey, if I learn how to do this, could I work here and do eyebrows here? And he was like, I think we can make something happen. So that's kind of like where it all happened for me. Yeah.
Wow. And then what got you into like deciding to teach? Is that something
Yeah.
that's always came natural to you?
Yes. So when I was doing makeup before, I worked for Sephora corporate. So I was an educator for Sephora. So I taught makeup artists how to be makeup artists. I certified them in different makeup techniques. I would go to San Francisco all the time to take trainings and qualifications, and then go back to my home store and do my district and certify makeup artists. So I was already doing education. So whenever I was probably about like 4 to 5 years into doing cosmetic tattooing, I was like, man, I really miss teaching. And then I was like, wait, why don't I just teach people how to do this? So it kind of fell into my lap. And then Face Academy, like full force, like let me like get some systems and processes for this. Came out about a year and a half ago, and I'm about to go through another like level of like reconfiguring it because I have all the data from like the past year and a half. So I'm ready to kind of revamp it again.
Yeah, I could see the Hermosi books up there. I'm like,
Yes.
I literally have mine as like my what's it called? Like right underneath my computer.
Oh, yes.
So I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, if I have it in front of me all the time, I think I'm going to process everything.
100%. That's how it works.
So I want to rewind even a little bit further
Yeah.
because I do believe that when we're tiny, we're little people, like
Mm-hmm.
it's like we naturally know what our like talents are, and then like as we expand into adulthood, it all starts to make sense if we follow the path of our passions. So
Mm-hmm.
what were you like as like a little kid? Were you like into makeup? Were you just an artist? Like what,
Yeah.
who were you as a little person?
So it's kind of strange. I was the biggest tomboy ever. I actually didn't touch makeup or play with makeup until I was like 17 or 18, which is crazy. I mean, I put like eyeliner on for MySpace pictures, but that was the extent of it. But I was like always just like a big tomboy, cars, dirt, just like hanging out with my brothers. But yeah, I had stepbrothers, and they were just country boys, so I would just follow them around. But I was I was uh my mom is a single mom, and there's us four girls, and we had like my stepdad and my stepbrothers for like a small period during my like adolescence years. But She came from Canada. My dad's American, my mom's Canadian. And when my parents got divorced when I was 7, we went back to Canada with my mom with like nothing. Just us 4 girls and my mom and just trying to make it work. So I had to grow up really quickly being the oldest of the 4. So I just kind of took on that. I grew up really fast and I became an adult a lot faster than I probably should have, but I'm very thankful for it now. So my childhood was very much so like a lot of responsibility, like really quickly and having to go into certain roles. And I think that that's what led me to being like an educator and being a business owner is because I love taking care of people. I love helping grow people and developing them. But as far as like the girly aspect, that was definitely like very late for me. So yeah.
I always think it's fascinating, like the journey of somebody that's an entrepreneur and a creative, and like there's always a story behind it. Either you are an athlete or you had to grow up really fast, or,
Hmm.
and so that's why I think like it's important to know like those eventually become our skill sets
Yeah,
and
for
our
sure.
ways of persevering. And so before I get into like understanding that aspect,
Yeah.
what would you say we need mental resiliency? Like, I'm not gonna lie, entrepreneurship is a freaking like full on sport.
True.
And it's like, and there's different levels to these sports. So what would you say for you to operate? I know we we had a conversation about what happened Monday and you had to pivot,
Yeah.
but like what would you say as far as like your daily like habits, rituals, and routines that you would say are non-negotiables when you're operating at your peak performance as a human being before you're a wife, a business owner, a friend, a sister, all these things? Like, what are the things that keep you operating at peak states?
Yeah. First off, I love how you said peak performance because sometimes it's not always that, and there are ways to achieve that. So that's really, really key. And then another thing I like how you said like how you operate with you before all of these things, because in order to be the best business owner, the best sister, the best daughter, the best wife, whatever it may be, you need to be the best within yourself. So I think that that is also key. So I love how you like pointed that out because not a lot of people think of it like that. But I will say for me, getting up like relatively early is very important. If I'm waking up past anytime past 8, 8 is still very late in my opinion. I feel groggy. I don't feel productive. I don't have the same sense of energy that I normally would. I also like to start my day with some type of cardio. So whether it be a walk outside, yoga, stretching, anything, the gym, if I'm lucky enough to get out there, I live like an hour away from my gym, so it's pretty far. But um, those are things that can really make sure that I have the best and most productive day. So if I can start with those 2 things, getting up early and then doing some type of physical activity, as well as eating something that has like a good amount of protein in it, I always have like the best day. So those are like my non-negotiables. And I will say also waking up with gratitude. So saying things that I'm thankful for before I even get out of bed. It might just be in my head, it might be in my soul. I might say it out loud. Every day is different, but I think having gratitude in the morning is very important.
Yeah, I want to add to that because it took a while. I feel like everything's a muscle, right? We have gratitude muscles, we have like habit muscles, we have they're different muscles. And so I
Mhm.
remember being in a state where like I couldn't feel gratitude. Like I was so angry. And I think, when we see these words and people are going through hardship or they're going through some type of season in life and it's like they feel like they're in a losing season. Have you ever been in a losing season before?
100%. Yes.
So, like, how did you still experience gratitude when you were in a losing season? Like,
Yeah.
was it the same? Because I know when I'm in a losing season or when I've experienced that, I'm like, it almost like triggered me to be more angry.
Yeah. No, for sure. And that's our natural instinct, right? Like it's so hard to be thankful or grateful when we have all of this shit happening. I mean, truly. But I will say, I think that that's when we have to be the most grateful, and we have to show the most gratitude. Because if not, we're just allowing those negative emotions to consume us. And I think from there, it can only become more negative, or it can prolong that period of that losing phase, right? Or that losing period. I do also think that every entrepreneur should be going through those losing stages or those periods of time. And if you don't go through those, I don't think that you're a true entrepreneur, because you have to go through that stuff in order to get where you need to be totally honest.
Yeah, you're not challenging yourself enough. You're
Exactly.
staying
Playing safe.
comfortable. Yeah.
Hmm.
So like you would still then put those repetitions in, even if you still didn't feel grateful, you would still express gratitude and you would state them out.
Yeah, like for instance, when I was talking to you the other day about like the bear getting into my truck and tearing it
Do you want
apart,
to
like
share that with them? They're like, what are they
so
talking about? You and I know,
yeah.
but they don't know.
So I've been on vacation for the past 3 weeks, and it has been one thing after another that has happened nonstop. So like our camper breaking, the truck breaking, a bear coming into the truck and ripping it to shreds, tons of terrible weather that canceled like all of our plans, like just a lot of bad stuff. And we should have came home weeks ago, but I was like, gratitude, like gonna truck through this. But the last straw was like 2 or 3 days ago. We were just drinking coffee inside, and I was actually talking to another friend, and I went out to go grab something out of the truck. I had just come back from grabbing coffee, and like the truck was torn to shreds, and I was like, and then I was like, a bear, yes, because I saw like three already in the yard like recently. So yeah, I didn't lock the door, so it is essentially my fault. But when I just come back from grabbing coffee, I just don't think about it. I'm in the middle of nowhere. But I
So
didn't know
they can
those things.
open doors. Like I'm
Yes,
like,
they can open doors, and that truck is so lifted. It's extremely lifted and tall. So I don't even know how he got in, but he did, and he tore it to shreds. And I went to Black Rifle Coffee Company and gotten like coffee to bring back home. And the coffee was everywhere. And I was like, this is like cocaine bear, but caffeine bear. This is crazy. Um, but yeah, so you know, after having like 3 weeks of total losses and like really like expensive losses too. I mean, all these breakdowns and then tearing apart a brand new Ford Raptor, like that's like not cheap to have to go through. So, I'm just like, wow, this is like the most expensive, like awful vacation I've ever been on. But I am grateful for this time to, step back and really like look into Danielle, look into the business, look into my team, just look into life really. And I was grateful for that time to step away from that, even though it was a little clouded. I still think it's important to be grateful for those opportunities, because again, it's like a privilege. It's not something that it happens for everybody. So I'm very thankful for that time.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think because people probably want to ask that, but it's like, okay, so
Mhm.
you just do it anyway. Some things you just do anyway. And
Yeah.
you have to strengthen that muscle, and it's weak until it's strong. So thanks for going into that and sharing your story. But
Yeah,
I'm glad that you
absolutely.
guys are safe and you weren't in the car during the
Yes,
visits.
me too.
And speaking of being able to pivot, uh, as we both know, and any entrepreneur knows, and for those that are just starting the entrepreneur, we want to just give you a heads up. You have to be flexible. And so, what are some ways that when you see things not going the way maybe you're planning out, and having that like flexibility within structure, when do you know it's time to pivot for you, whether it being in the business, in a friendship, in anything?
Yeah, so I think that there's like two answers for this question. It's a great question, by the way. So I think with people, and when you tie people and instances and with your culture of your business, as well as the values of yourself, if something is not working well or working efficiently, and it's something that you've either coached on, you've pivoted and you've tried several other ways, it's very, very critical to just cut the tie, either let go of that person, like quit what you're doing that's causing that result. But I think people, especially, can be so cancerous to a culture. So if you don't right away, see that and find a way to go past that, it can be really, really cancerous. So I have learned to be very, very, like use my sense of urgency and be very quick on my feet with letting people go or allowing people to know it's not the best fit. And I think that that has attributed to a ton of successes for the business because I don't allow things to bring down the morale anymore, or to create a cancerous culture. I think I know that our clients deserve so much more than that. I know my team deserves so much more than that, and I know that I deserve so much more than that. So I'm very like quick on my feet with that. And then as far as like systems and processes go, I think it's if you're not tracking things, as Hermosi says, you don't care. So that's something I'm personally working on a lot better because I'm not the best tracker. And I do care, but I have to do that in order to have the best results. So that's something I think you need to create. You need to have more time to collect that data, to go over it and then see like, okay, where can we pivot? Where can we change things up? How can we grow from here? So I think that that's super important as well.
Yeah, that's great. What about, I'm like, yeah, that's great, but no, that was great. I'm like, that probably sounded so horrible, but no,
No, you're
that the
fine.
what about the pivoting, as you decide? Because here's the thing, pivoting doesn't always have to be a bad thing. You and I, before we like
Hmm.
hit the record button, we were talking about scaling the businesses and you mentioned like there's different seasons in your career where you're like, you know what, I want to transition from Danielle, the tattoo artist, to now the educator, and I want
Hmm.
to open up my own studio. And like those were pivotal moments that required um decision making skills, and I still think that's
Yeah.
a pivot, and it's a pivot in a positive way. So like
Yeah.
when do you know like it's time to like, okay, this is my next level upgrade? Like, is there something that happens in your mind, in your heart, in your spirit? Like, tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about that.
That's that, yeah, for sure. So this is going to sound really crazy, but I think when things aren't chaotic or just I feel a little bit of pressure, or I get too comfortable, that's when I know that I need to do more. Because I am cozy in the chaos. That is like Danielle to her core. Like I love challenges. I love time restraints. I love just hard shit. To be totally honest with you, I've been like that my whole life. So when I'm like super comfortable and things are just like super chill and I'm like sitting there, I'm like agitated, I'm just like fidgety and I'm just like, okay, like I'm not doing enough. And like that might sound really unhealthy to some people, but I don't think those people understand entrepreneurship. Like that's just what it is. Yes, I have time. I have my balance, guys. I know how to have balance, but I'm talking about like a good amount of time where I feel that feeling in my heart and my soul and my brain. I'm like, okay, things are way too chill right now, and I want to do more. I never want to do less. I want to help as many people as I possibly can, and I want my team to have that same spirit. So, but then we could always be doing more, right? That's how we reach more people.
Yeah. Well, since you talked about chaos, I felt like,
Yeah.
even our childhood kind of like prepares us for like the chaos or sports.
Yes.
I've noticed one or two things. Either people have had a very rocky upbringing where they've had to
Hmm.
grow up really fast.
Hmm.
Or secondly, typically that's also one of them. And then the other one is like you were just so used to playing sports at a high competitive level that it just all intertwines at the same time,
Yeah.
because it is a sport and there are levels to everything. But speaking of chaos, how do you still operate and keep almost like, I read this one book years ago when was mostly focusing with professional athletes, and it was called, George Mumford wrote this book called The Mindful Athlete. And the way that
Okay.
he described it is he said like there's a hurricane going on, but you don't have to get wrapped up in the hurricane. You can be the eye of the hurricane. And I kind of look at what you're saying as like the same concept is like, how do
Hmm.
you keep the peace within the chaos?
I love that. I have to read that book.
It's a great book.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I think it's honestly experience. I will say, and you probably could feel the same way, but like looking back like years ago, how I would have handled that chaos, it's so different than how I would handle it right now. Like, I just had an employee that, it didn't work out. And the way that situation happened was so like seamless and just like not chaotic and just like easy to navigate. And I also like kept my composure and, you know, I didn't let my emotions get involved. And I think that that just happens with time, if I'm being totally honest with you. I also think that personal development plays a huge part into that. And I think that if I wasn't like, you know, doing 75 hard at that time or really thinking and worrying about Danielle first, I definitely wouldn't be in the same mindset. So I think obviously personal development and mindset really helps with that like inner peace with the chaos.
Mm, I love that. Since you're on that topic, and you know, I do see the common trait where like that extremist personality always goes to Andy Frisella 75 hard.
Yes.
I'm like, those are everybody goes there. Like, you doing it? I was like, no, it's my lifestyle. I'm not doing that. Like,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
what I see is like, can you just give from your experiences? I did say, I was like, wow, congratulations, you did it. Like, yeah, I'm not, I finished it. I was like, well, congratulations, because it is challenging to
Hmm.
be able to show up for yourself when you have so many things pulling at your time, energy, and attention, and you're running a business, a very successful business. You have a lot of people like looking to you for, you know, answers and questions, and you're responsible for a lot of people. Um, how would you say you're taking care of your physical realm, like you're exercising? How did that play a big role, since you somewhat mentioned it,
Hmm.
into your mental strength and resiliency?
Yeah. Man, they really do go hand in hand. And you don't realize that until you're in the thick of it. Like those going through like the day-to-day motions of being a business owner, being an entrepreneur, being a mentor, whatever it may be. And then also like worrying about yourself, your personal development, your fitness, your health, your goals. If you do one without the other, one suffers, right? So I think it's important to try to find a time frame that works best for you. So like for me, like I said, like getting it done in the morning and making sure that I can have like a fantastic day for my team because my head's in the right space. I'm feeling good about myself. I know that I got those reps in. I know that I'm living a healthier lifestyle. And that just helps me to be the best version of myself for the team. So I think that it needs to happen. I think that a lot of people don't realize how crucial it is. But I think that, you know, now we're leaning into like a society that is starting to realize how important it is to take care of yourself and whatever that may be. For me, it's like my health and wellness for sure. For someone else, it might be like exiting an unhealthy relationship. It might be who knows what it can be, but it's so important.
Mhm. I wanna go back to Danielle before she joined 75 Hard, because
Yeah,
now you're on the other side, but sometimes it's
yeah.
just making that decision, right? It's like, I
Hmm.
feel like most people with our personalities is like, all we gotta do is make the decision, and then once the
Hmm.
decision is made, the commitment is there.
Yeah.
So what was it initially that if somebody's like on the fence, where like they have, you know, that feeling, I know I should be taking care of myself, you know, that voice, like I should be doing this, I should be doing that,
Hmm.
like you kind of know what you need to be doing. But then there's that also guilt part. I don't know if that was the reason as to like why you waited up until this point to like prioritize yourself. But like what was the shift that happened like before you made that decision to go all in on yourself as number one priority?
Yeah, that's great. I will say the number one thing I hear whenever we hear things like excuses and whatnot, it's I don't have enough time. It's so easy to say, it rolls off the tongue, everyone uses it. So I think that the whole I don't have enough time excuse, it's just what it is. It's an excuse. There is enough time if you make it a priority. Everything is prioritization. So for me, I was practicing healthier habits and I was working on myself, but I didn't have the discipline and the structure that I needed to do so. So like I would have a bad day, I'm gonna go eat something really bad, you know. I would be feeling flustered in the morning, not having enough time. I would be like, you know what, the gym is not a priority today. I just need to get to work and like calm down and have like a good session with my client. But when you're like forced, not forced, but forced to do something with such like strict guidelines, it really creates that like mental, which is what 75 hard is all about, like that mental structure and discipline within your mindset to be like, I have to plan this like this in order to make this happen. And after a couple of weeks of it, guys, it's easy. It's clockwork. It's not hard anymore. It becomes a habit. And that's what it's all about, is creating habits and creating discipline. So I think for me, it was just like, okay, I know that I need the structure. And I think a lot of people thrive off of structure. And sometimes being a business owner, that's not something we prioritize because we're working for ourselves, right? We're no longer clocking in, clocking out, being told what to do. So I miss that. I miss that structure and I miss those habits. So I created it for myself, and it's working out great, and I love it. And I'm still
Yeah.
practicing a lot of those things like on a daily basis.
Yeah, I will say, like, because I did download the app and stuff like that, and I was like, they do really well with keeping it simple, but also providing structure, and then also
Mhm,
like having the way of like holding you accountable. And I know a
for
lot of
sure.
people that when they do it, they actually, it's as you mentioned, it's like you don't got to think about it, you just got to do it.
Yep, exactly.
Mm.
Exactly.
And do you feel like you've gained more time, or you've been like more efficient with your time since like now on the other side of the program?
100%. 100%. It's awesome. I think if anybody is wanting to try it, they should. I think everybody should try something and challenge themselves. So it's a great way to
Hmm.
do it.
Or at least prioritize yourself.
For sure. Absolutely.
As far as like, okay, so this is one of my favorite questions.
Yeah.
And I have to ask myself this also because I do know and I believe that we're always recreating ourselves. And my question to you is like, right here, right now, this woman that you are today, what did you have to overcome to become her?
Really good one. Really, really good. So, oh man, it all stems from childhood for me especially. So, um, just being, it's so hard because my childhood was really terrible. Really, really terrible. I don't talk about it a lot. I want to, because I think it could help other people, and that's what my whole mission is. But it was really terrible. I had to pretty much like find a way to let like Danielle know that it's okay. Like you can be the person you want to be. You don't have to hold back. My whole life I was being forced to hold back and hiding and just existing to put food on the table for my family and to help my mom and to help my sisters and just grew up very 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 poor, and that makes you scared, honestly. Being poor and not having really anything, it just puts you in a scarcity victim mindset. And I was like that for a very, very long time. And I had to pretty much find a way to let Danielle know, like, I know that's not who you are. And I know you want to make more for life than this, because you either fall into one or the other. You be a victim for your entire life, or you find a way to help other people through it and help yourself, of course. So just finding that strength. I didn't do therapy. I didn't really do anything that I probably was supposed to do. I just like I just was presented with opportunities that were kind of like not really there. You know what I mean? Like if you want this, you can have it, but you have to work hard for it. And I was willing to put in the work. I was used to working, so I started working when I was 12 years old. So I think that that's what it was. Is just like knowing like the value of a dollar from a really young age, and knowing really good work ethic and what that looks like. And then the opportunities present themselves. They're not handed to you on a silver platter. They're not brought to you at your door, but they're there. You just have to know how to go out and get them.
Mm, mm. It's just amazing how everything intertwines. And thank you for doing all you
Yeah,
did so that you can be here for us.
for sure. Thank you.
So my next question
Yeah.
is, who do you have to become in order to step into your future self? Because I know you got goals, girl. I know you're
Yes.
like aiming for something. So like, who do you have to become right now? Like what are you working towards? Like the
Mhm.
habits, the mindset, the new rituals and new routines, because you have to move different. You got to think different. You have to behave different.
Absolutely. 100%. I need to become like way more fierce. I know that for sure. I let my heart lead a lot, and it's something I've gotten so much better at, but it's still something I struggle with all the time. I always go there first. I always go like, oh, well, what if they need this? Or what if I did this for them? No, Danielle, like, you know, this person's taking advantage of you. You know that these people like don't care, whatever it may be. I need to be so much more fierce with like protecting myself and what I've worked fucking hard for. And not let anybody like take advantage of it, because that's when it starts like kicking me down a notch. You know what I mean? Like letting me get hurt, letting me just not be in the best mindset that I can be. So I need to be more fierce, and just lead with my brain a little bit more on like what makes sense logistically. And then I also feel like I need to work a lot more on my like personal health and wellness. Like I am not at all where I want to be, but I'm so much closer than I was before. So I think that it's something that brings me great joy and great satisfaction, and I see immediate results from. So I just want to like do that at like a higher level of execution.
That's amazing. I'm gonna hold you
Yeah.
accountable.
Please do. I need it.
Uh, this is another one of my favorite questions because I had to really work hard to overcome this of intertwining my identity with my income and
Hmm.
how successful I was based on what I made, because everything is like a vision before it becomes a manifestation.
Yeah.
So from your experience of like learning or unlearning, would you say your self-worth impacts your net worth, or your net worth impacts your self-worth?
I think the first one for sure for me.
Mm-hmm.
It I just I think it's just from like where I was when I was young. Like I'll find ways to survive, and like for sure sometimes it gets to me. Like I look at things that I was able to do, uh, you know, even a couple months before, and I'm like, damn, I don't have money for that right now. But I try not to let it affect me. I'm just like, why don't I have money for that? Where did it go? What am I doing wrong? Where am I not budgeting correctly? Where am I not spending time correctly? So I look at it from a more like analytical standpoint and try to figure out like how and why.
I'm laughing because I'm like, your money went to your headphones. We were just talking about.
Yeah,
We were
literally.
just talking about all the electronics. I was like, oh, and now I need to get this. I need to get that. I need to get that. No, but on a serious note, I think a lot of people are talking about, your net worth. And it's
Hmm.
like, well, there's a self-worth before there's a
Yes.
network, right? Like we have to,
Hmm.
like how we met is we both showed up at a mastermind. So we were investing in ourselves, and loving ourselves enough to invest in ourselves, connected, building a network. And then,
Hmm.
who knows where that's going to lead. And
A
so,
100%.
yeah, I just think more people need to talk about that.
I do
But
too. One thing really quick, like if
yeah.
in my world too, with education and teaching students, like these are all people who have like taken the steps to be in permanent makeup and to start a career in permanent makeup, right? And with that, it comes a lot of training and continued education. Like you don't just learn one technique and do it for 9 years. Like I've taken like 20 something certifications, you know what I mean, to be the
Mhm.
best, and to make sure my clients are receiving the most new and best techniques. And like for me, it's masterminds, personal development, business things that I'm investing in right now. But for a lot of my students, like when I hear their I don't know the word for it, but when they're not like 100% on our calls about like if they're ready to invest, it's very like mind boggling to me, because I'm just like, you have to bet on yourself, and you have to be willing to like spend money to make money, take the risk, get the reward. Like it's just so crazy to me that like people's minds aren't there like automatically, like they don't care enough. They're just like existing, like maybe not even having the proper qualifications or certifications to be like tattooing people's faces, and they're cool with that because they don't want to spend the money. It's crazy to me, and it's something like that we don't talk enough about in my community. And you know, I look at it with like different people like outside of my community, like what you just said, and other people in like real estate and investments and things like that. It's just it's so crazy how scared people are to invest in themselves and their career, and not understanding how much that's going to impact them in a positive way in the future.
And I want to ask you about this too, because a lot of people, I think there's this misconception that they think when I get there, when I get the body, when I
Oh
get the
yeah.
business, when I get the relationship, when I get X amount of money, then I'll be good. And so like, what do you have to say about like the their delusion?
Yeah, that's exactly it. There doesn't exist. If you are setting those limits for yourself, you're not in the, like, you should really be questioning a lot more than the there, because you will never get there if you're putting those expectations, those limits there. It just will never happen for you. You have to take there, throw it away, and put in all the work, spend all the money, spend all the time, do all the things that need to make it happen in order to get there. There is never going to magically come in. You have to make it happen for yourself.
Mm, yeah. So I'm gonna get back to the personal part. I mean,
Yes.
everything is personal because I don't know how people can say it. Maybe it depends on the industry. I don't really know, but like I feel that we need to come back to being more human, more
Hmm.
humanized, and
Yes.
understand that we're a human being before we are that business role, task, responsibility. That's why I wanted to bring on this type of show and bring on specific guests to talk about it. But like, what are your core values that you have when it comes to letting people like really in to get to know you as a friend?
Yeah, this is something I've struggled with a lot, and something that I'm always going through different seasons of. But it's something I've grown a lot from. So I will say that for a very, very long time, I just let people take advantage, like just run me through the dirt. And I just gave so much of myself to people to where they expected it. So when Danielle started focusing on Danielle, and Danielle wanted to throw herself into the business and just wanted to be the best possible version of herself for the business, that's when like people started to call me out. Like I had my best friend of like over a decade just say, hey, like all you care about is your business. I can't be there for you anymore. You give me no time. You don't give me the energy that I deserve. You're just never around. You're just so focused. And I just like, I don't want to be your friend anymore. And at the time it hurt. At the time I was like, gosh, what am I doing? I'm like losing people that I care about. Like, is this really what I want to be doing? And then I realized how incredibly fucking selfish that is. And I just had the wrong people in my circle for such a long time because I allowed it to be. That's what we, it's growth. The people that are in your circle, the people that are your friends, first off, you should be able to count them on one hand, if not less. Second off, they should be taking that version of you and being like, damn, she's getting it. I'm so proud of her. They should be lifting you up. They should be talking about it. They should be like just telling you how awesome it is that they're seeing you go out and get the things you need to do, help the people that you're helping, and just growing your empire, whatever it may be. Those are the kind of people you should have in your circle, not people being like, oh, you don't have time to come over and watch a movie for me. No, I have 14 people that rely on me on a daily basis and 4,000 clients that I'm overseeing. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's just so incredibly selfish to have people like that in your circle, whether they be your best friend, your husband, your wife, your family, even. Those people are toxic when they're bringing you down like that and they're holding you down. They're telling you you're doing too much. It took me a long time to figure this out. A divorce later, lost a couple really good friends. But I am so incredibly happy now that when I look back at that version of me, um, and see like how hurt and broken and just like sheltered she was because I wasn't able to grow to my full potential. I'm just so thankful that those people hit me the way they did and told me the things they told me, because it brought me to this realization that like they're not meant to be in my circle and they're not worthy.
Hmm. So what are some core values now as you as like Danielle 10.0?
Yes. I think that wellness is a big one. I was talking to my friend about this the other day, but if someone isn't focusing on their health or wellness or personal development for that matter, it's hard for me to be friends with them, just because they're usually making a lot of excuses, bringing bad habits into my life that I don't want. I want people that are around me to understand that it's important for me to be healthy, and it's important if I say, hey, I really have to go to the gym. They're not like, oh, like what, we could go do this instead. Like I want people that have the same priorities. So that's actually
Yeah.
a core
Like, hey
value.
girl, let's go together. I was on my
Yeah,
way.
literally that those are my people. So I'm trying to find them. If you're out there, hit me up. Um so
Or you're
that's a
gonna
big
have to
one.
build a gym in your place from when you said a whole freaking hour away. I'm like, I
I
complain if
live
it's like 15 minutes away.
I know I live in the country, but it's because I love the like peace and quiet. Like I love because I work in the city every day. So I love like my little hour commute. I listen to my podcast and I come
Oh,
home to like no
wow.
one and nothing on the water. It's very nice. But yeah,
Wow.
the gym is a difficult situation. So I usually go like after work.
Or you could just build it, bring it to you.
I should, yeah. Goals.
I'll hold you accountable again.
um, please do. So wellness is definitely a core value, and that's a newer core value for me. I will say that it's not something that's always been there. I think that people, it's hard for me to put like a word to the person that I'm letting into my circle, but
Let me ask you like this then, because I was thinking
yeah.
about like maybe I should reframe the way I said that. If you were gonna sit at like a table, right, with women,
Hmm.
you're like, oh my God, so powerful. They don't have to be like celebrity names, or maybe they are celebrity names, who knows?
Yeah,
But like you're sitting at this table and you just feel so empowered to like feel like you can do anything
yeah,
with this table you're sitting at, with this like group of women. What would that look like? Like what would their traits be? What would their qualities be? What would their core values be?
yeah. I have like one specific person that pops into my mind. And it's not like a actual person, it's like a made up person in my mind. And it's a person who is a mom. Maybe she has 2 to 3 kids, and she's out there winning the day every day, runs her business, is an awesome entrepreneur, is a great mom, is working hard, is also like at the gym, like just she's just perfect. Like it's that is like my ultimate goal. And I think sometimes like I'm not a mother yet, so I can't speak on this, but I want to
I was
be
just
so
gonna ask you.
badly.
I was like, I was doing a little like, looking at your page a little, and I was like,
Hmm.
I didn't think you had kids, but maybe you were hiding them. I don't know.
No, not yet, but like when I follow certain people on the internet and I know certain people in life and they're moms and they're like not allowing themselves to like and everybody can do whatever they want to do. People's lives look different, but I'm an entrepreneur. I don't want that to be fallen to the wayside when I become a mother. That's a very important core value of mine. I never want to be a stay-at-home mom. I don't want anything to do with that personally. So these women that I see are still like working and being awesome entrepreneurs while also having a great family life and spending time with their kids, involving their kids in the business and showing them what these core values mean at such a young age. I think that's so awesome and important. And that is like someone I want at sitting at my table, someone I could look at because that's my ultimate goal and just be like, damn, that's so awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So you want kids? You want to build a family?
Yes, I definitely want kids. I'm like not waiting for the right time and place, but there's some stuff I want to like obviously like work on very fine tuned.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely that is like ultimate goal is just being like a powerhouse of a mom.
But hey, that is, I tell people because I'm like, man, my mom was a freaking like leadership 101. She did do stay-at-home mom, but
Mhm.
like she had to adapt so many different like roles, responsibilities, and tasks and skill sets for us growing up. And
For sure.
I do believe like leadership is like, even if you are a stay-at-home mom or you're like, really running the house,
Hmm.
it's a form of leadership as long as you're, prioritizing yourself. You can't be running
That's
around
it.
like a psycho, like not taking care of yourself, emotionally unstable. Like you got to take care of yourself to be a leader for the household.
Yeah, exactly it. 100%.
Hmm. So where do you see, how can we support you? And there's like so many things. I'm like, "Oh, time's running out." Like, how can we support you? How can your community support you? What are you up to? Like, what do you need support with right now?
Yeah, I was just talking about this. So I think that Instagram's in a really weird phase. The algorithm is crazy. It's not what it used to be. So getting yourself out there is very difficult. Right now I'm about to embark on this era of just being like the ultimate version of myself and just so real on the internet and just posting myself talking about situations that like I never would have been comfortable talking about years ago. I'm just like ready to do it, rip the band-aid off, just do it, Danielle. So I think that just like sharing that or following along for the journey, letting me know how it impacted you or how it made you feel would be really helpful for me to be able to learn from and grow. So Instagram is great. My Instagram, I think it is Danielle.facestudios. So that's where you can find me. That's the best way to interact with me, honestly. I'm very active in my DMs. I don't have an assistant or a robot or anybody answering them. I take the time to have a connection with every single person that takes the time to have a connection with me. So I'm very grateful for that.
Well, you're amazing. And thank you so much for sharing your time, energy with us on Minding My Business. And thank you all for listening. We
Yeah,
appreciate for hanging in with us. If you found value in this episode, make sure you subscribe, you share it with your business bestie, you screenshot it, put it in your stories, tag myself, tag Danielle. And we hope you have a blessed day. And thank you so much again for being on the show.
absolutely. Thank you guys.
All
Bye.
right, I'm going to stop.